G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Cheers. Posted by user JellyFrosty5707, titled, Am I the asshole here for threatening to divorce my husband if he doesn't tell his parents that we are married? You read that right. My 22 female, husband, 22 male, and I have been married for 3 years now. To sum it up, we were both young, dumb, and going to enlist in the military to get out of our small town, so we eloped to the courthouse. We were both going to keep it a secret at first to reap the benefits from the military, see how our relationship went, and go from there. Ended up not enlisting in the military, so I told my parents that we eloped a few months after. He never told his parents, and I've been asking him to tell them. They didn't have a good relationship when we got married, and that's why he didn't tell them. I gave him an ultimatum this past week that he has to tell them by the end of the week, or I'm divorcing him because he's crossing a boundary that I've discussed with him multiple times over the past year. I'm uncomfortable with them not knowing, and I honestly feel like he's not mature enough to be in a marriage if he can't man up to tell them. He said he's scared to hurt them, and I countered that he needs to get it over with, that he is also hurting me. His parents love me, by the way, and I've been tempted to tell them by myself, but he always stops me. Well, I gave him an ultimatum, and he immediately became defensive. He told me that if I didn't want to be married to him, that he would return the wedding set that he just upgraded for me. He told me that I was being an asshole for pressuring him when he wasn't ready. I told him that I wasn't saying that at all, I'm just tired of him not being an adult, which makes me question our relationship. I love him, but it's screaming red flags, and I know I'm young enough that it won't ruin my life if we divorce. My parents have a big issue with him keeping it a secret too, and have brought it up to him. The reason I haven't already went home is because I live on the other side of the country, away from both of our families, and we have pets. However, he knows if he does not tell them by this Sunday that I'll be making plans to move once my summer semester ends. So, am I the asshole here for threatening to divorce my husband because he won't tell his parents that we are married? Additional information from OP. OP says, I didn't tell him to man up in our conversation, it's just a phrase that I used in my post. Believe it or not, I do love him, and I was actually very gentle with our conversation when we had it. Word for word, I said, Hey babe, you know I've had an issue with your parents not knowing that we are married. I love you very much, but at this point, I feel like you're ashamed of me, and I'm confused. I've given you multiple chances, and have decided that if you don't tell them by the end of the week, I'm going to make plans to move back home at the end of my summer semester. How was this conversation prompted? Well, I received my new wedding set, which he promised to send a pic to his parents to finally tell them, and never did. I've brought up my feelings multiple times over the past year about this specific situation because I do want our relationship to work and to resolve this. I'm tired of not being heard. I, however, know now that threatening to divorce makes it seem like I want to get out of the marriage versus work on it. In the comments, Actual Clue 3165 says, Not the asshole. You're not pressuring him into marriage. I don't see why it's such a big deal for him to tell his parents when he's had 3 years to sit on it. OP replies, I don't know why it's such a big deal either, which is making me more concerned. His parents love our relationship and have told me many times privately how supportive they are of us, and they're not intimidating whatsoever. They love him so much. OP on if her husband is in military or school, and if divorce will impact their life and degree. OP says, he's neither. We decided not to enlist for him to go to college, and he graduated last year. That's why we live across the country. He works at a lab in California now. I'm currently still in college working on my bachelor's degree though, and it'll be fine. I was in foster care, so I have a full ride scholarship that also pays for any necessities I need. I'm doing fully online college at the moment to get prereqs finished. I have a job too, and have remained financially independent just because I was brought up that way. So I'm not too concerned about it. The main thing is our pets, but I don't want to separate if I don't have to. OP on if her husband's extended family knows that they're getting married. OP says, My whole side of the family knows. All of his friends know, and one of his cousins knows. I'm pretty sure his mum knows too, but we don't really keep in contact with her because of her lifestyle, which is addiction. He just hasn't told his dad or stepmom, the ones who raised him, but his relationship with his dad is weird. I was fine with it at first because I knew his dad was an alcoholic and they had a pretty bad relationship when we decided to get married, as in they didn't communicate. His dad was out drinking and he was home alone. That's how his whole upbringing was. I do want to add and feel that it's unfair that I didn't add to my post that my husband worked really hard through college and has not taken the same path as his two parents. He struggles with communicating his emotions, but outside of that, he's really great. He's supportive, helps around the house, believes in me, and I feel like an asshole for not adding that to my post, to be honest, because it allows room for people to see him as a bad guy. However, I started having an issue with them not knowing for the past year because his dad and him have a much better relationship now. We spend every holiday with him. He talks to him all the time, etc., and he's not an alcoholic anymore. Their relationship has been better for 2 years. I know that doesn't redeem his dad, by the way. My parents chalk it up to him being afraid to tell his dad because his dad possibly abused him. Though my husband has said that his dad was a great dad, he was just a drunk, never said he physically abused him, but I believe his dad was very neglectful, which is still abuse, because that's the only thing that could make sense, rather than him just being scared and immature. My parents do love my husband, and are just as confused as I am. I really think that he feels like it's an awkward time frame now to tell them. However, he's an adult and needs to own up to it, especially knowing that I've had an issue with it over a year. It's hard because I try to justify his actions based on his past, but I know if I do that, I'll let this slide, which I don't need to do any longer. Sorry if that doesn't make any sense and is a jumble. Arenia Q says, "This is beyond weird. What is going on that he thinks it's going to change if his side of the family finds out you're married? He probably doesn't know how to explain, but there's something very shady here. If you want out of the relationship, then just leave as soon as you can." He is married already. Nah, I'm joking, but his behavior doesn't make any sense at all. Neither yours, OP. It's been 3 years and you do not have a clear answer as to why he is so reluctant to tell them? I love that he says that you're pressuring him and it's been 3 years. It might have got to the point that he's left it for so long that he feels that it's super weird now to say, "Mum and Dad, we got married 3 years ago." But that's all on him, not the asshole. And pressuring him before he's ready after 3 years. If he's ready to be married, he's ready for the pressure of letting mummy and daddy know. Yeah, the math ain't mathin' on this one. I would love to know why he hasn't got the nuts to tell his stepmom and dad. What do they know that, OP doesn't? What is going to happen? You'd think, oh, he has a family and kids somewhere else that those two are hiding as a justification for why someone's so apprehensive to do that, or he has a girlfriend, but they're on the other side of the country, and he's not a pilot, so that doesn't make any sense either. Definitely not the asshole for this one, OP. I don't like how insular he's being. It's not particularly asshole behavior, but it's questionable at the very least. And now, onto the updates. I will begin with the update and then provide clarifications. I told his parents today, and they confirmed that they have known since 2021. They had a hunch and found the marriage license/deed online. They have been waiting for us to tell them and were just wanting a valid reason. No, my husband did not tell them. I told them. Our relationship is up in the air right now. Both of our parents know what is going on, and we are trying to figure out how to move forward, whether that be attending therapy together, one of us moving back to North Carolina, or both of us moving back home. We are actively communicating on our future and whether that future will be together or not. Here are some clarifications. No, we did not enlist. Yes, we were in love. We decided to enlist 6 months into our relationship and felt that there was no point in waiting to get hitched because we could benefit from it as well. It wasn't like the movie Purple Hearts. We were in a relationship before enlisting and thought that it would get us out of our small town quickly. His mother struggles with addiction, his father was an alcoholic, and his stepmom raised him. He and his stepmom have always been extremely close. His father did not beat him, he was just absent because if he wasn't working, he was drinking. Their relationship was bad in terms of not communicating with each other, and his dad emotionally neglecting him by not being there. They communicate a lot better now, and on a daily basis. We spend the holidays with them all the time, and they call often. They made up. To add on to this, both of my parents were addicts, which is why I went into foster care and was adopted by my now parents, who I refer to in my last post as knowing. I completely understand the struggles and complications of addiction. My main issue is his lack of communicating in general. I understand now that an ultimatum is not the best way to go about things when you want to make the relationship work. I let my emotions control me, and I gave him a harsh ultimatum. I'm not sure it'll work out though. This is the hardest thing that I've dealt with in my mere 22 years. Both of our parents are supportive if we choose to stay together or separate. They want us to make it work, but there are no hard feelings if it doesn't. They're offering as much support as possible. My main issue is I'm still the only one communicating, which is why I'm hesitant to continue the relationship even though I love him. I did come off as pressuring, and I realize that now. One reason I'm having a rough time trusting him is due to finding out that he was messaging OnlyFans models over the course of the past year, and his reasoning was we were having problems, which I wasn't aware of. I didn't want to include that in the last post because I didn't want to seem like a complete idiot and make it fair on his image, since he isn't on Reddit to give his side of the story. In the comments, OceanBreeze123 says, "You did the right things. Did he ever tell anyone that you two were married? Has he kept it a secret from everyone for years? If so, that along with the OnlyFans seems like he wants to be single. That must be so hard. I'm so sorry, OP." And OP says, he's told everyone, including his co-workers, friends, and cousins, that we are married, which made it confusing, but thank you for your empathy. I'm sorry, sweetheart. He is definitely not ready to be married if he's messaging OnlyFans models. That could be why he didn't want to tell his parents that he's married to you. He's been hiding a lot of things, and that does not bode well for a happy future. I understand that you love him, but you need to love yourself more. Can you bear years of this non-communicative behavior, only to end up in a worse situation than you are now? There's too many red flags here. Running away with someone else to escape a bad upbringing is understandable because you need support, but if he's continuing the pattern with you, you'll be worse off in the long run. I believe in you. You don't need him to break away and make a better life for yourself. Build yourself a good support system and don't look back. Quote, "He is definitely not ready to be married if he's messaging OnlyFans models." Yeah, I don't understand how him cheating wasn't a deal breaker already. OP says, "It's called being dumb." Well, how did his phone break? Did he throw it in a fit of temper during your arguments? And OP says, "Yeah, he threw it onto the ground." Okay, you need to understand that this is a precursor to domestic violence. First, they throw things, then they escalate to slamming doors and hitting walls, and then they move on to hitting you. He says the two of you are having marriage problems, which is why he resorted to OnlyFans relationships. But in reality, he's just been looking for your replacement. I think you know that your marriage is already over. You've been a placeholder girlfriend while he looks for someone who he likes more, who wants him back. Please do yourself a kindness and walk away from this marriage. Quote, "He's messaging OnlyFans models and won't tell his parents about me, and I threatened divorce, but didn't really mean it. Also, we married 6 months into our relationship at age 19, and didn't actually end up enlisting." Just a beautiful string of immature decisions by two kids trying to play house. I wish them both the best. They may be able to figure it out, but most likely not. Don't get married when you're a kid. Glad to hear their issues are mostly just dumb kid stuff and nothing more serious. God, I hope she doesn't get pregnant. I really try not to be judgmental of kids who get married so young, but it's hard not to FaceTime every time I see these kinds of stories. Our next post is by user ThrowRA Help with Girlfriend, titled, "I, male 20, accidentally punched my girlfriend, female 24, during sex. How can I get her to forgive me?" So I accidentally punched my girlfriend in the side about 3 or 4 days ago, but she's still not talking to me. I want to fix this since it was an accident, but I don't know how to get her to talk to me. Me and my girlfriend have been together for about 8 months now, and I really like her. She's sweet, pretty, funny, a total nerd like me, and she likes Dark Souls. She's my dream girl. She's also a little bit older, which I'm into. She's kind of weird also, but in the fun, quirky way. She's an amazing partner and is very supportive of the stupid things that I do and like. I say this so no one gets the wrong idea about her. My girlfriend likes to experiment a lot and has a super open mind. She's always telling me about something mid to super weird or underground that I've never heard of that she wants to try. It can be anything. Food, positions, hobbies, clothes, or whatever. Around last week, she mentioned some bedroom things involving a more dominatrix vibe. I was cool with this part, but then she brought up the specifics of what she wanted to try. She wanted to try pegging, and I didn't. She'd been watching the videos and doing her research trying to convince me, but I just wasn't on board with it. Usually I try everything else with little to no resistance, but I'm just not with this one. She was pretty sad about it and sort of sulked for a while, but I wasn't changing my mind. Every time after the first no, I wasn't exactly firm since I love my girlfriend and I didn't want her to be sad. I made it obvious that I was uncomfortable with it and didn't want to try it, but whenever she brought it up, I just kind of awkwardly said, haha, I don't know, babe, and quickly changed the subject. Usually this worked and she would drop the subject. I thought she got the message. I don't know, I should have been more obvious in hindsight. It's my fault for not putting my foot down and sitting her down to tell her that I was serious. It was the first time, but I think I might have given her mixed signals when I just changed the subject and awkwardly disagreed. Well, anyways, a few days ago, she tried it. She dressed up pretty and I was excited. She started her whole dommy mummy thing and I was getting really into it. Maybe this is why she thought that I would be okay with it. She was on top of me and put her finger near my ass, and honestly I didn't notice at first because we were kissing and she was being really hot. You know how it is. But then she put her finger in, and I automatically felt that and punched her without thinking. I punched her in the side, and she pulled it out and hurt like hell, and I pushed her off of me rough. She fell back onto the edge of the bed, I think, which was good, because I wasn't trying to hurt her in the first place. It was just reflex. She started crying and screamed at me, asking what the fuck, and I didn't know what to do. She was yelling at me while I was trying to apologize, but it wasn't working, and she got dressed and then left. I called and texted a lot, but she wouldn't answer me back. I'm scared to lose her. She's amazing, and I feel really bad for punching her. It's been a few days, like I said, and I don't know what to do. She's been staying with her friend. How can I fix this? I didn't mean to punch her, it was just reflex. So yeah, I miss her, I want her back, and I feel like an idiot. How can I fix this? In the comments, RoboSpam says, actually, she violated your boundaries, but she's mad at you? That's a red flag right there. And OP says, I think she's more mad about the punch than anything because I'd be mad about that too. I definitely hit her hard. That being said, I appreciate the comment. I did tell her no and she didn't listen. I don't know what to do from here, but I don't think that I messed up or anything as much as I did earlier. And edit, within 30 seconds, I decided that we're obviously not staying together, Lamau. Not a good look. Dump Truck Dookie says, get her to forgive you? You should not need forgiveness from someone that violated you. The fact that it's been 3 to 4 days and she hasn't come to her senses and realized that what she did was totally messed up shows you what kind of person she is. If I were her, I would be apologizing to you relentlessly. And OP says, thanks man. Reading these makes me feel kinda less like an idiot because I punched her, but more like an idiot because I felt like an idiot for punching her. I didn't mean to, but she kinda did deserve it now that I read the comments and stuff. She and I are on the same lease, so that has to get figured out, but I don't think that I should stay. I want to have a heart-to-heart with her, but she won't even answer her phone. I might, to be honest, be blocked at this point. Being a broke college student sucks. It seems like you might be very confused about consent, why consent is important, and why violating consent is morally wrong. You need to start there so you can understand that you were sexually assaulted, and then maybe start to unpack whether or not you want to be in a relationship with someone who has no problem sexually assaulting you. Just because you're a man doesn't mean that women are allowed to do that to you sexually without your consent. She's not amazing and she doesn't respect you. Have some self-respect, my dude. OP replies, I grew up around the men don't get assaulted crowd and toxic masculinity, so I agree. I don't think I really understood what she did, but now I do. It's hard to come to terms with, but what can I do about it now? We're on the same lease, so that needs to get sorted out, but yeah, she might not be the dream girl that I thought she was. Embarrassing as hell, though. I know my friends and family are going to tear me a new one for breaking up with her over this, but it's whatever. Maybe they should get a finger up their ass and tell me if they'd stay. Homie, she sexually assaulted you. Your punching her was an automatic self-defense mechanism to safeguard your bodily integrity. Why are you apologizing? You should tell her straight that she crossed a boundary, and not just any boundary, a criminal boundary. No means no. It doesn't matter if you said no half-heartedly or in a bashful manner, no still means no. Get rid of that creep of a girlfriend and don't apologize for defending yourself and your boundaries. To build on that, anything other than an enthusiastic yes also should be considered a no as well. Exactly. My fiancé has been the one expressing interest in getting pegged, and I'm totally down, but it's also a lengthy process that requires a lot of lube. The second he's expressing any sort of discomfort or pain, we're slowing down and stopping depending on what he asks me to do. I couldn't imagine just putting a finger in with no lube for my willing partner, let alone someone like OP who has expressed that he does not consent to something like that. That is straight up assault. And back up to the post, we have an edit. Yeah, we're not staying together. She's still not answering me and we're on the same lease, but I don't want to stay with her after this. Thanks for helping me out, guys. I might update the breakup if anyone wants to hear that or cares. Thanks for the funny Dark Souls comments. Someone said she should have parried my punch, and I laughed so hard that I spit water on my monitor. Don't let pretty, nerdy girls stick fingers in your ass if you said no. It's okay to punch them if they do it anyways. So yeah, thanks again, guys. Might update with the breakup if anyone cares or wants that. And now, on to the update. Hey everyone, thanks for the help on my last post. Humor is my way to cope, and some of you didn't like that, but what can I do about it? For starters, I moved in with my mum and just decided to pay the rest of the lease with her help. I know it's kind of stupid, but I honestly don't want to deal with my ex anymore. She's not as great as I thought she was, which sucks, but it's whatever. Dark Souls isn't worth it. My ex didn't want to answer her phone for a while, but she called me out of the blue not too long after I made the post and told me that she's ready to forgive me. By this point, I was still coping and not feeling the best, so I laughed and asked her if she was forgiving me for reacting to being assaulted. She did not like or agree with that. She blew up at me over the phone, yelling about how she was assaulted and that I'm lucky that she didn't press charges. I basically just told her that we're done. She immediately backpedaled and said that she's sorry, I did nothing wrong, I'm so amazing, she'll never do it again. You know how it goes. I hung up the phone and played a sickening amount of Valorant, and yes, I'm ashamed of that. She came back home that night to beg me to get back together, but I obviously said no. I ended up being the one to move out after she started screaming and throwing my stuff at me. I didn't want to deal with her anymore, so I just said alright, and I took my PC though. So yeah, nothing that cool. She flipped out, I'm with my mum, got my PC. I look back and notice a lot of red flags, but my favorite color is red, so, you know, I'll have to pick a new favorite color. I'll be focusing on school for a while. Thanks to everyone who said something nice. I'll have to look into therapy one day once the damage really sets in. For now, I think that I'm just done with dating, and if anyone wants to chat, shoot me a message. I'd probably like a temporary internet friend. In the comments, LON66 says, sounds like a pretty mean girl every time she doesn't get what she wants. Good thing that you're done with her. And OP says, tell me about it. She had the habit of whining and, don't you love me, whenever I wouldn't immediately comply. It was rare that I didn't just go along with it, but when I didn't, it was hell until I said okay. Her skill in guilt tripping is pretty insane, and to be honest, I've never been the dominant type. It's my own character flaw and she played me pretty good, lol. You're only 20 and have a lot of life in front of you. Focusing on school is the best thing to do right now. There's a lot of growing up and maturing to do. 20 is too young to start living with someone. Date, have fun, study, and live a little. You'll look back at this as a learning experience. This is why consent and bodily autonomy needs to be taught to all genders in school or by parents. OP did not immediately recognize that he had been violated. We think of sexual assault as a scary stranger in a bush, when really most of the time, it's someone you know and love pushing your boundaries in ways that you would never anticipate. When I was assaulted by my ex-partner, not my ex at the time, I did not immediately realize what he had done to me. If I had been taught and understood my own boundaries and what real consent looks like, it would not have taken me months to realize that I had been violated. I'm glad that OP bailed. The way he describes his ex reminds me of my ex, and if he had stayed, she would have continued pushing his boundaries until she succeeded. We don't teach the need for enthusiastic consent enough. I remember flipping through my sister-in-law's Cosmo years ago and stumbling across an article about spicing up the bedroom, and one piece of advice was something like, stick your finger up his butt. He doesn't know he wants it, but he does. And just throwing the magazine away in disgust. This is why consent is important. Just because you're kinky and all doesn't make you have the right to violate someone else's boundaries. People need to learn about coercion in relationships. Hell, proper kink is all about consent. Anyway guys, that's all for me today. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.